Welcome to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I'm your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C., a TEDx speaker, a journalist, author, podcaster, and mentor to women in recovery. You can learn more about me at marialeonardolson.com. And please hit the like on my TED Talk because I'm applying for more, another one. And follow, subscribe to this podcast, review it, and review my most popular book called 50 After 50 Reframing the Next Chapter of Your Life. I started this podcast 5 years ago because my work in the realm of women in midlife has brought me into contact with amazing women who have inspired me and I think will inspire you. So today we have Zerina Derveni joining us, who is a distinguished life coach who specializes in empowering high-performing women and organizations to unlock their full potential. Specializing in guiding women who feel lost, stuck, or simply curious to level up, Zerina helps them embrace their inner strength, overcome obstacles, and create lasting transformation in both their personal and professional lives. With a rich executive background in strategic consulting and client engagement with Fortune 500 brands for more than a decade, Zerina brings a unique blend of expertise in personal growth, professional development, and transformational coaching. Her tailored coaching approach is designed for those who seek transformative results and the clarity needed to thrive. Whether she's pursuing greater personal fulfillment, enhancing relationships, or navigating career shifts, Zerina provides a high-level guidance and actionable strategies that lead to lasting success. Invest in yourself and achieve your highest aspirations with Zerina's bespoke coaching services. In this episode, we will talk about overcoming self-doubt, navigating self-discovery, and more. You can learn more about her work and what she offers at zerinalifecoach.com and follow her on LinkedIn and Instagram. All of this is in the show notes. Welcome, Zerina.
Thank you, Maria. Glad to be here.
So let's go with the first one, overcoming self-doubt. How do you help women do that? So many women I talk to have that problem.
Right, yeah. So I think it starts with them first understanding that, they have some sort of limitation that's holding them back, right? So in my self-discovery journey, which is mainly like the biggest part of my coaching program, I call it the awakening, right? So there is this questioning part where it's like, why is this not working out for me? Or I feel stuck and I feel lost. And there's like a very, very small percentage of clients that I get that are just curious, right? Where they can just level up and just learn more about them. So I think overcoming limiting beliefs really, it starts with digging deeper. It's not an easy, quick fix and not at all what my coaching is about. But it starts with questioning, and I would link that questioning to self-awareness, right? So it's stepping back. Let's ask some of these questions. Let's start to maybe learn more about ourselves, which then goes into unlearning some of these, mindsets or beliefs or habits that we've adopted along that way.
Yeah, very important. I think probably every woman in the world could use some work in that area. So, you also help people navigate self-discovery, which you already talked about a little bit. So, how do you get people to overcome overthinking and figure out who their authentic self really is?
hmm That's a tough one. So I've decided to specifically work with women for a reason. I find us so fascinating and almost even challenging, but in a very good way because I have yet to meet a woman who's not an overthinker, who doesn't suffer from anxiety, right? So it starts with understanding that clarity actually comes from engagement and not thought. And I think the moment that I share this with clients from the very beginning, it's a bit of a aha moment where it's like you can be the most intelligent person in the room. You can have all these great thoughts that you're overthinking, but just know you're not going to reach that moment of clarity until you actually have experience, until you actually explore, until you actually get your hands a little dirty. And I think the moment I say that, there is a sense of relief. And I've had to go through that myself, by the way. I thought myself to like sometimes 2, 3 in the morning and thinking, wow, I'm doing great. And you have this false sense of control, right? But really, it's listen, here's the facts. And the facts is you're not going to reach clarity until you actually explore, until you get engagement, until you experience things. So let's put aside the overthinking and let's use the thinking and the mindset in other areas that's going to help you achieve clarity.
Okay, so let's say I agree to do that. Then we get to how do I transform this anxiety over actually doing anything into a sense of inner peace? How do you make that, bridge that gap?
hmm It goes from learning the basics. I actually take my clients through understanding what is anxiety first, right? I think I don't assume that everybody knows what anxiety is. I don't assume that everybody understands the symptoms. So it's stepping back. Let's learn. This is what you're dealing with. So if you're facing, sorry, if you're someone who deals with anxiety quite often, let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about when you're experiencing it. Is it during challenging time? Is it every day a little bit? It's really going back and understanding what that emotion is from a logical perspective, from a conscious perspective. And then we can deep dive and work on how it's affecting your life in little ways to improve it, right? I think, again, with anxiety, it is one of those things where if it's severe, I would definitely recommend someone see some specialist for it. But really, what I'm here to do is I'm here to guide you and help you understand where it is that you are in the state of your life, learning some of the basics that we sometimes forget what it really is, or subconsciously we're looking to social media about definitions and symptoms and things that are not accurate. And it's really bringing it back to basics, incorporating science and facts there to back it up and understanding it. Once we understand it, ironically, anxiety is caused from uncertainty, right? For most of us, and at least for most women, we're anxious because things are uncertain, right? But once we actually understand that uncertainty is going to be there all the time and know that maybe it's being triggered from that, it's let's work on some maybe preparation. Let's work on some understanding how you can limit that anxiety by being a bit prepared, by having self-trust, right? By building some resilience. So I think those are some of the concepts I talk to my clients about. It's really bringing them back to basic, having them understand what anxiety is caused from in their situation, and then having little habits that we plan and daily so that they can improve.
Great, great. Those sound like very valuable endeavors. So then, you also help women prioritize personal growth and career goals without losing themselves and making life decisions that are in alignment with core values. How do you go about doing that?
hmm So I think before I answer this, I'd like to talk a little bit about my journey. So I had over a decade in corporate experience, worked as an executive, did really well, really enjoyed my professional growth. But there was this reoccurring cycling pattern that I would pick up every 3 years where I just did not feel like this was maybe what I really wanted to do in my life forever, right? I could see myself continuing and growing and working for maybe other companies, but there was this voice inside. It's like, but this is not who you are. This is not the impact you want to leave. So I had to go through my own journey to really get to this self-discovery where I figured out in my own experience, I was actually in a for a very long time in a state of performance, right? And what I mean by in the state of performance, it's not skill level, it's the state of being. It's the state of seeking external validation. It's a state of looking for significance, right? Rather than maybe contribution, what you really want to do and what you're really good at. So I would have to say this understanding of performance versus being was a big learning lesson for me in my personal and professional growth. So it's bringing that kind of back to my clients now, where if they want to professionally grow or they want to level up, let's really bring down what our core values are and understand that. And are you right now in a position where you actually want to invest the time and grow in? Or do we need to transition? And now is the time to do that, right? Because as we all know, time is so valuable, and you can easily get stuck in these cycles that are from a subconscious level, seem like you're doing okay, but really asking those questions is again very important and part of the whole coaching journey where I'm as much as I'm challenging my clients to go after what they want, I have to make sure they know that that is something what they want, and it's going through some of these phases in my coaching program.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And then I don't see this very often. I have interviewed quite a few life coaches and executive coaches, but I don't generally see people combine that with relationship coaching. How did you
Mhm.
decide to include that among your coaching services?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because now I've been coaching for I think over 3 years, and I find I either get women come to me for professional reasons or relationship reasons. The ones that are coming to me for professional reasons actually have a very healthy relationship for the most part. The ones coming to me for personal reasons have a healthy professional
Hmm.
life for the most part. So there seems to be this gap where I'm really happy that I decided to also invest my training in relationship coaching because I think whether it's, intimate relationship, friends, family, that is your support system and that is equally as important as your livelihood. So having both of them be in a way that you're happy with are equally important. And if not, your investment should be on both in parallel, right? So I didn't want to go too niche because I think some conversations, even if you're, working with me on a professional level or from a goal perspective on a professional level, there are going to be components that are relationship based, even with your colleagues, with your boss. A lot of what I teach is, prioritizing EQ versus IQ. That
Mhm.
is how I was able to succeed in business and build successful relationships. So yeah, that's why I'm doing both. I think it's important to value both in parallel and have the capability as a coach to step in and support clients on either or if needed.
Do you do in-person meetings for your coaching or on exclusively online? How do you handle that?
Both. So majority of my calls are like via Zoom virtually, just because I think it's just more convenient. But I am based out of Toronto. So for clients that are in the GTA, sometimes we'll meet. And I think that's also really nice that they get to have that one-on-one interaction with me in person and myself too.
Yes. Do you happen to have children?
I don't. No,
Are you in a relationship yourself?
I am. Yes.
And do you use some of your techniques to strengthen that relationship?
I do, yes. So
Yeah,
I think
of
I
course.
think but of course I'm human, right? So I have moments where, I have the tools and the capabilities absolutely and I know what to do. And it's interesting. One of the things I teach Maria with women and a lot of my clients are high performing women is to lean into their wisdom versus intelligence, right? So intelligent women would know how to respond. Let's say their partner is not happy, right? We know what to say and how to get our point across and all that. But wisdom is really leading from a place of compassion and understanding and listening and trying to be a bit, more vulnerable. So I have to remind myself sometimes too to lead from that. And I think coaching is a really good practice for me in my own personal life where it's like, as much as I like to say I have integrity. I'm still human and I still have those moments where I catch myself, but I definitely have the tools to overwork it, not be hard on myself and move forward. So I think that's been a blessing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Does your partner sometimes notice and catch you and say, "Hey, are you using some of that stuff from your coaching business on me?"
Sometimes, yeah, it happens, but I I try and remain human and I try and, have certain reactions that are not so like coaching, right? So I catch myself and still be human at times.
Yeah. Um, so what can you give an example of someone you coached and how they were one way and you got them to something else?
hmm So I think for me, some of the most beautiful experiences that I've seen my clients do is they come to me and they have this perception of themselves, and this is all, again, happening at the subconscious level, and everyone is always doing the best they can. So that's usually the understanding from my part as a coach and to the client, but they think they're much more open and flexible than they really are, right? So, and again, I was in those shoes before, so it comes from such a understanding with compassion and room for growth. So we work together, we work on tools, we work on strategies to the whole coaching program, and I've got programs anywhere from 6 months to 9 months based on what you need support on. But I've seen them open up. I've seen them understand what their core values are. That's a really big one. I think, oftentimes we think we know our values, but do we actually sit down? Like if I was to say, Maria, what are your top 5 core values? Can you list them? It's
Right.
not that easy,
Yeah.
right? It's hard. So, from the beginning of our coaching session, here are these great women that they really want to grow, and they have this level of awareness that is the best of their capability. And then it's working together and getting them to be much more open and flexible and having this other understanding of awareness now at this level where they have much more clarity. One of the concepts is knowing their values. That's really significant in their growth. But that's just kind of like what I love seeing is seeing that openness and seeing that growth. And once we finish a program session based on whatever time we agree on, seeing them go out there in the world and checking in with me and I just love that. And I think that's been really impactful. Another feedback that I've gotten is most of actually the clients I've worked with have actually seek therapy. And they've come to me, not right after, but let's say even within a span of a year or 3 years after seeking therapy. And the feedback has been, wow, this has been so significant to my growth. Even though I've done therapy, this is so different. And again, coaching and therapy are both equally, very useful, but just so different. So
Mm.
having that feedback has been, very humbling, but in a sense, very positive in me to just continue, doing what I'm doing as a coach and growing what I'm coaching has been really important, like growing some of the concepts that I'm teaching and getting more into the science. And I right now am being certified to be a brain coach, and it's not going to change my title or anything, but it's really going to help me bring some science and some data into our subconscious mind because just so fascinated by it.
What does that mean to be a brain coach?
It's interesting, yeah. So I first I know I you're not a doctor, so I don't want to take away from any of those doctors or people who put in so much medical work, but really it's understanding the brain, the subconscious and conscious level, and then from there understanding like how our brain works, right? So for example, like what I recently learned is the difference between instincts and intuition.
Mm.
And coaching women, one of the things that we talk about is this intuitive feeling, but a lot of us are sometimes scared or we've had, especially when we're going through challenging times, we don't really like to tap into that intuitive feeling. But it's understanding the difference of like when you get that sense of, oh, this is not for me. And it's like challenging yourself. Okay, this is all happening at the subconscious level, right? But it's challenging yourself. Is that my instinct? Like an instinct is usually you're trying to avoid fear or danger, or you're trying to preserve your energy. Or is that from my intuition? Intuition is basically your experiences, the environment that you grew up in, right? So you could have met somebody at your age when you were, or sorry, you could have met somebody when you were at 8 years old, and then you could have met someone similar when you were like 35 or 40 years old, and you could have gotten this random feeling. It's, you don't know why, but you feel this person is so and so. That's your intuition. So even like understanding and explaining to someone like, okay, this is, how your brain works, and this is, usually when you're making decisions, this is when you're tapping into your instincts or your intuit. Having that explanation and having that context, I think has been really helpful in my coaching. And a lot of the whole brain coaching concepts that you're learning is really digging deeper into how the brain actually works and what it's being used for. And when you're dealing with certain emotions or mindsets, where is that coming from? So I think before we go into solving, we need to understand what is happening, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a lot of that, which has been again, like for me, I'm just so curious and it's been exciting to learn that, but really bringing some of the facts and science into my coaching.
Yes, fabulous. So, was it scary for you to pivot from the corporate world to doing your own thing in a
Oh,
different way?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what
yeah.
gave you the
Yeah.
courage to set out on your own and start this new path?
It was so it took me a year. It wasn't a quick turnover, and I think I had to sit on the idea for 6 months. Like I mentioned earlier, I was catching on my cycles, right? And I did not want to make the same mistake in a sense of just putting in time in something that I knew it wasn't really true to my core values or what I wanted to do. So I sat on it for 6 months, and I said, after 6 months, if I'm still feeling that excitement, right? So when we're fearful, it's either we fear this, oh, like I'm scared, but I'm excited, or it's like you fear something, you're like, oh, I don't know, this is not for me, right? So I was sitting on that for 6 months to see how I would feel about it. And I still had that excitement. I still felt this sense of alignment. And then the next 6 months, I had to make the transition professionally and just make sure I had a really good exit strategy where I wouldn't impact the business. Just obviously being an executive, your hands are tied in a lot of different areas. And then I started to really work on my coaching and branding and just thinking about what I wanted to do. Now, I was often challenged when I was becoming a life coach with and even like colleagues who I admire advising me to go into the executive route, right? And I think it would make most sense. But I just, something in me said, no, I really want to do and help women and be a life coach. I think, life is more important than your profession. It's a part of it, don't get me wrong. But there is this feeling that I had towards being a life coach where it's just being open to just how to help people navigate life versus, executive or just being a specific niche area. So I'm so glad that I did that and launched and it wasn't easy. I always say I've never worked harder in my life, but I've never been happier. So there is a true result there with knowing your core values and living by it
Yeah.
versus the other way around.
So, have any of your former colleagues come to you for coaching?
I've had clients actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And
Nice.
it's been so inspiring and again very humbling, but I have had certain clients reach out. Yeah.
And what does your family think of this career path for you?
They were supportive and they are still very supportive, but I think they were confused, which I wouldn't, blame them. I think if you look at my background, you'll see I actually, Maria studied law in university. I wanted to be a lawyer. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll go into business or marketing, studied business, studied PR, worked with these large Fortune 500 companies. And then you're coming out and you're like, I want to be a life coach. It's like, whoa, what
Yeah.
has happened? But before all this, I actually I think when I was 24, I remember I did Miss Universe Canada, and I was the candidate, yeah, for
Wow.
2014, and
Wow.
yeah, and everyone
Wait, you
and
were the
it's
Canada's.
no, so the candidate. So I did not win, but I was part of
So
that
did
year.
you
Like there was
represent
60
Toronto,
Ontario, so there was
Ontario?
like yeah, yeah.
That's
So I
wonderful.
Thank you. No, I did that because I wanted a platform to help women, right? I just didn't know at what capacity. So not my personality, by the way, to do this, but I just thought, you know what, this would be great. And then obviously, there was some media opportunities from that, but I kind of shied away and went to where I was comfortable, and that was corporate and business because I thought, you know what, like this is not the platform where I can help women. 10 years later, guess what? That urge was still there, but I finally found, the outlet that I wanted to use to be able to support women. So I think explaining that to my parents and my families, they understood where this was coming from. It wasn't just like, oh, I woke up one day and wanted to be a life coach. I think I had this urge in me in wanting to support women. I just wasn't sure how I was going to do that. So things were aligning and I think, my family has been so supportive, but they understood it once I explained it to them, maybe where this passion or this desire for coaching came from.
Well, you are quite beautiful. And I wondered, are you of Persian descent?
No, I'm actually Albanian, and thank you.
Albanian. Wow.
Yes, I am
Wow.
Albanian.
That's definitely a place I'm going in the near future. I think, the next to be discovered Mediterranean destination.
Yes, well, you have to message me if you do decide to go because I have some recommendations.
All right. I will. I will.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you say it was the Miss Canada competition?
Miss Universe Canada.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
One of my best friend's daughters is Miss Maryland to the Miss USA pageant. She didn't win Miss
Oh, cool.
USA or Miss America, but it was so much work. She had to
Oh
say
my God.
so
Yes.
much this year. I imagine you
Yeah.
had to also.
Yeah, I remember that year and I had zero pageant experience. So I went in, these girls had coaches and just so much effort and so much discipline. It really is a sport. And I think once you're in it, you understand and you respect again the effort that's put in. I
Yeah.
went in kind of like blindly with, leading with I think I was hoping to lead more with my IQ and just natural talent, but no, it was a lot of work. We had rehearsals every week.
Was there a talent competition part?
We didn't have that. No, no, we didn't have that year. No talent, but it was more so you had judges ask you
Yeah.
questions. You had to work with the charity of your choice and
Mm.
raise money for that. So I thought that was really nice. I
Which
had
did
worked
you
with
do?
Operation Smile at that
Ah,
time.
wonderful.
Hmm.
Wow, wow. Wow, you are a fascinating person, and I can see why you help so many people with all of your experience. I ask all of my guests the following question. Zarina, what do you do to become your best version?
I have this daily check-in with myself, where I remind myself if I'm, living by these set standards that I think are important to me. And I guess you can call it the RGG. The first one is resilience, right? It's really important for me to continue practicing that muscle mentally. I think it's great when life is going smooth to say I'm resilient. However, it's preparing your mind for those times where there are more challenges and there are more setbacks. So every day it's really talking to myself. And usually this happens sometimes in the mornings or night. It's okay, how am I being resilient? How am I, being stronger and handling things the best that I can? So that's the first one. That's the R. The second one is G, and that's grace. One thing that I am a big believer on is handling things with grace, and that's just again true to my core values, and being able to respond with grace because a lot of times, sometimes we react and then we have to do a lot of cleanup and from that's time wasted. So it's reminding myself how am I handling things with grace because that is again core to who I am. And the third one is gratitude, right?
Mm.
It's been proven as the number one emotion from positive psychology that is effective. So how am I grateful? How am I showing gratitude to myself every day? So it's really leading by those three, I guess, values or mindsets or reminders, the RGG for me that is really important and has helped me just move forward, right? Stay
That's
grounded and move forward.
Yeah, beautiful message. So I would really encourage all of you listeners to go to zerinalifecoach.com and learn more about what this beautiful human can help you both with professionally and personally. She really does offer it all. Thank you so much, Zerina.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you for having me.